Sports Day is brought to you by Barton Community College. Explore your future and get started now. Visit gobarton.com.
Okay, Sports Day in 3, 2, 1.
Here's the 1-1. Swung on. There it goes. Deep left. It is high. It is far. It is gone. Number 62 to set the new American League record. Aaron Judge hits his 62nd. All the Yankees out of the dugout to greet him. Just think of it. 3 Yankee right fielders. The Babe hitting 60 and 27. The Jolly Roger hitting 61 and 61. And now Aaron Judge hits his 62nd home run. The most home runs any American.
It's a big relief. I think everybody can finally sit down in their seats and watch the ball game.
You beat Beloit
Ellsworth.
week 1 is Ellsworth.
Yes.
Because I'm a big fan of, even if you have a weak schedule, if you knocked off one of the top teams that was ranked,
Right.
you should have a push to get into that top 5. So I was voting Ellsworth in the top 5 ever since they beat Beloit after week 1. They finally were able to get in there this week, and so they're in at number 5 in Class 2A. So I was happy to see the Bearcats get in the top 5.
They score a lot of points. Their defense is pretty good. They're very solid in what they do. Coach Brad has done a tremendous job with that program, elevating it every year. I think it's going to be a really good game. I think there's going to be a lot of points scored because I do feel like our offense is very explosive and we present some challenges for Maxville.
2-2. In the air to right field. Ronald Acuna back. Ronald is under it. The Braves have won it again. For the 5th year in a row, the Braves are champions of the National League East.
It was pretty fun working with the team, trying new formation out. The first game doing it. Worked really hard at practice, trying to get goals out of this formation. Honestly, I couldn't have done it without my team. All those good passes, Gustavo Alvarado, 2 assists. The team was amazing.
Good afternoon and welcome to Sports Day. I am Mike Hesher. I'm in with Mike Corson today. Webby is out again today, so it is the Mike and Hesh Show. And that was the sounds of the past 24 hours. This is Sports Day presented by Barton Community College and the Barton Community College Athletics. We appreciate their support. And how are we doing today, Mike Corson?
Got some nice local flavor in there today and some history.
It was some history. I had to think about when he said the Jolly Roger. I was like, Jolly Roger? I was like, oh, Roger Maris was the second one that he referred to, but I never heard Roger Maris referred to as the Jolly Roger before.
What was missing from that clip was, woo!
From yesterday? We didn't talk enough about that one, did we? That was pretty classic.
It could go in every clip.
It really could. Okay, so the sounds of the past 24 hours, we started out with Aaron Judge as he hit home run number 62. That was off of WFAN and John Sterling with the call.
So I was watching college football this weekend, and they kept cutting into the Yankees. He was batting down to the year, or 61 years to the date and the minute.
Seriously?
So I believe the broadcasters really wanted him to hit the home run at that point.
That would have been crazy.
It would have been even cooler on a round number, but 61, it actually would have been pretty interesting. But the only difference is they keep caveating it. They don't call it any major league record. They're sticking safe with the American League record.
The American League record. Yeah, well,
which is factually accurate.
It is fact, depending on what you consider Barry Bonds and what he did, and Mark McGwire as well.
Multiple times, those guys. So, yeah, factually accurate. The safe way to call it is the American League record.
Yes, okay. And then we heard the most concise bite you'll ever hear. Aaron Judge, 5 seconds. Well, people can just get back to watching baseball.
Yeah, and I didn't watch the game, but, of course, back when McGwire broke it, I believe they had the Corvette come out on the field, and it was a big stoppage. Cal Ripken, they stopped the game for ages when he broke the record. So,
yeah, he had to run all the way around the field, the warning track.
Perhaps there wasn't as much fanfare this time around.
Well, it is the Yankees, and, people out here, we don't really care about the Yankees.
That is correct. I'd rather watch the Royals lose.
And they do a lot of that, don't they? As they play their last game of the year. We'll talk about that a little bit. Then we talked to Cole Reif, as he mentioned the comment. He is a K-Preps voter, and he's been voting Ellsworth in ever since they beat Beloit. And finally, they broke the top 5 in Class 2A, I believe they are in. So congratulations to the Ellsworth Bearcats.
Yeah, I'm still a little concerned about their strength of schedule. I was actually just talking to someone from Russell, and I think Russell will give them a better game than Beloit did, and maybe Beloit would play better in Week 5 than they did in Week 1. But Russell just shut out TMP, and TMP was ranked at 1 point, so could be a better game than it appears to be Friday.
And then we talked to John Webster as the Lacrosse Leopards take on Maxville. That's 4-1 Lacrosse taking on 5-0 Maxville. And they were telling me about the Kunkelman kid from Maxville, 6'6", like 220.
And he's been around forever. Seems like he's been around forever. I believe he's finally a senior. But, yeah, he's a 400-meter state champion.
Is he really?
Fun to watch those kids in basketball. So, of course, when you're 6'6", but and he's been the quarterback in the past. So he's for 6'6", he is a nice athletic figure.
I think he would be hard to bring down and tackle.
See, I would kind of think the opposite. But
you think it'd be easier to tackle him because he's so big?
Yeah, as long as he doesn't slip away.
Okay. And then we heard of the Braves. The Braves clinched their 6th straight National League East title, I believe it is.
Yeah, and my problem is the Royals are playing October baseball, and that used to be a special thing.
It's not now.
So if they keep adding playoff games, man, they're going to be playing into Christmas.
Well, this was due to the strike.
I got you.
The Royals and Cleveland had a 3-game series at the beginning of the season that they pushed back to now so they could get that in. So
that was months ago. I haven't slept since then.
That was a long time ago. It was like, and they still lose. So I don't know what to tell you on that one. And then finally we had soccer, and your boy Galindo, who you wrote the story, and I've got it off Great Bend Post this morning. He had a legitimate chance at 6 goals.
Yeah, he ended up with 3. First half, he just pounded 2 at the keeper, who managed to keep him out. Pretty nice saves. A couple more, he got in the box. The keeper came out. Second half, he slid one wide that he should have made, and he would say that too.
Right.
So a legitimate chance for 5, 6, maybe even 7. A couple other kids got the big day for the freshman Alexes as well. So they'd had 1 win going in and pretty much dominated that one.
And it was a 5-0 win for Great Bend, was it?
It was, and it was Word of Life Prep out of Wichita, and we had talked that Coach had not seen anything on these guys. And it was a bunch of kids not from around Kansas, so you never know if that's going to be real good or real bad. And they were competitive in the first half, but Great Bend took it to them in the second. I
remember during Word of Life football, my first football game I did play-by-play for Hoisington was against Word of Life. And the referees could have called a penalty on every play because Word of Life could not even get lined up offensively, and stay still and, stay in their sets and stuff like that. It was embarrassing.
It's an interesting school. I want to say maybe the boys were competitors with St. John, but it could have been another prep school. But when the girls were playing the Lady Oilers in the basketball tournament here at Barton, there were some decent athletes, so Word of Life was – so you just never know with the Word of Life team if you're going to get the good or the bad.
So as we talked about, the Royals are down to their last game today. What happens in between seasons?
I'm hoping for FanFest.
Okay. Well, I was thinking more. Okay. They obviously have fired Dayton Moore. They hired his right-hand man, J.J. Piccolo. My 2 questions would be, who goes? Mike Matheny, the manager, and or Cal Eldred, the pitching coach?
Matheny's still fairly young in his tenure. He's been successful in the past. I actually like the guy, so I'd say keep him around. I don't know why we got rid of Dave Island in the first place, but Cal would be on my short list.
I would agree totally on that one.
And then my other question is, where's Mondi? I haven't heard his name in months. The kid could be the best player in the league, but we'll never see him for more than a month. So what do you try to cash him out?
Who would take him? I mean, and I know and maybe this will change under J.J. Piccolo. Dayton did not want to get rid of him because his biggest fear was Mondesi was going to go someplace else and become a superstar where he couldn't even stay on the field in KC.
Yeah, and is he going to be injury prone all the time, or was it something
he's shown
about
to be,
playing
yes.
in Kansas City like he's not motivated? I don't. The kid has the potential to be a top 5 guy in the league, and,
right?
But if we're just sitting on that contract. Even if you go half his talent, bring somebody else in.
If you remember, Jonathan Sanchez is a left-handed pitcher from the Giants. He came to Kansas City, and he made it very well known he did not want to be in Kansas City. He did not perform very well, and they shipped him off pretty quick. I mean, it was, him and Nafi Perez. I don't know if you remember Nafi Perez, the shortstop. It was obvious they didn't want to be in Kansas City, and they just played like it. So
it's a funny thing, like people bagging on Hosmer and Moustakas for not performing after they get big contracts away from Kansas City. I do believe when you come up with an organization, there is something there, an attachment that. So maybe Mondesi doesn't have that, and maybe Hosmer did.
Well, Mondesi got into the World Series, or he was active on the line he was active on the roster for the World Series in 15.
And speaking of that, so why don't we just go back to what did we do right in 14 and 15? We had base runners, we had bullpen. Do what you take. If that's the winning formula, let's play math.
Okay. This is Sports Day, presented by Barton Community College and Barton Community College Athletics. Train for a new career at Barton Community College in areas like carpentry, network security, or pharmacy tech. Learn more at gobarton.com. Coming up, Mike Corson has a discussion with Shelley Duvall. Do you want to give any hints to what Shelley, the head coach of the Great Bend volleyball team, talks about?
Well, we are a news station, so I will report the news.
Okay.
So last night they were at home. They split. They beat Campus, and number 9 Goddard Eisenhower was in town, and Great Bend went 3 sets with them. And you beat them in the second set, but then you just kind of get trounced in the third. It's such a weird sport.
It is. I mean, it is. The momentum can change from match to, set to set, I guess is what they now call it. Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was pink out night. Awesome uniforms. Usually the teams will just put on pink T-shirts.
Right.
But these were, I'm like, maybe they should just keep those.
Did they have a pretty good crowd?
And an excellent crowd, and Shelley, I believe, will be talking about that.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mike Corson. You'll be back, especially right after this, because we're going to be talking with Shelley Duvall. You're listening to Sports Day on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM. It is the talk of the town.
One of the great advantages about online classes is you can take them anywhere. I would sit in my room, still in my robe from waking up, and I just try to focus on my classes. From Barton, I kind of took a range of classes from accounting, history, and I took PE1 and PE2 through Barton. They transferred pretty incredible. It helped save money, and it helped save some time, too. Just to think that you can live really anywhere and take these classes, I think it's pretty cool.
Hey, you want to hear some good news? Venture Corporation is still hiring for laborers, flaggers, equipment operators, CDL A and B drivers, and mechanics. And if you're ready to make some money, call Leslie at Venture. Thought about getting your CDL? Venture will train the right candidate. Higher starting wages, on-the-job training, excellent benefits, and you get paid for traveling throughout the state. Venture Corporation on South Highway 281 in Great Bend is an equal opportunity employer. Venture Corporation, homegrown, family-owned.
Now showing at the Schaefer Gallery, the Barton County Arts Council Friends and Acquaintances Show. Members of the Schaefer Gallery community will showcase their recent work in a variety of mediums and styles. This eclectic exhibition is underwritten by the Bill J. McCown Memorial Endowment, distributed by the Golden Belt Community Foundation. The exhibit runs through November 3rd. See what area artists are up to at the Schaefer Gallery, where the Old West meets the future.
When your seasonal allergies bring on the runny nose and itchy eyes, the experienced team at the University of Kansas Health System Convenient Care Walk-In Clinic will provide the care you need. They can treat any minor illness or injury. No appointment needed. Care is available 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday and 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday and Sunday. Visit the Convenient Care Walk-In Clinic at St. Rose Medical Pavilion for quality care when you need it. Learn more at kansashealthsystem.com/Great Bend.
Sports Day presents On the Prowl with Mike Corson, an inside look at all the sports taking place at Great Bend High School.
Welcome back to Sports Day, 1590 KVGB, 95.5 FM. Mike Corson, today joined once again by Great Bend High School volleyball coach Shelley Duvall. Normally we've had some players in here lately, but we're stuck with Coach today. Good to have you for real, Coach.
Hey, thank you. And you're welcome that I'm here.
Absolutely. Been a pretty busy time for you guys. You guys had your home tournament. You guys were at home last night. Big weekend coming up. So let's start with the home tournament. You guys were 1-3, but saw some really good competition.
Yeah, great competition. We've seen Hutch before. We know Hutch is now in 5A class, and has been moved in. We play against them. We play tough against them. But, man, they're good. They're just a great team to play against. And, yeah, they're ranked. And then we saw Goodland. Goodland's always fun to have. Angie and her team do a great job. Very big blockers, so it's nice for us to be able to see some other teams with that size in the front row. And we battled them with 3, and we just couldn't pull out that third set again. And then we had Ulysses. Ulysses is just a scrappy team. I know in the past they've kind of wanted to maybe step out of that particular tournament, but her team's been really good for us to play. They don't let anything hit the floor, so that was a good time. We got that win. And then we fell to Phillipsburg, which I thought was a team that we could definitely get. We just we weren't meshing and things fell apart, but we get to see them again next week. So
last night was Pink Out Night, which was always kind of special, and then you guys go 1-1. You beat Campus, and we'll talk more about the second one in a second, but Pink Out Night, I know that was a big deal for the girls.
It's something that they've been really into. October has been a big month for volleyball and even just sports in general, and really making sure that we're aware of breast cancer. And the girls wanted to support family and friends last night. And so Booster Club was able to help us purchase some Pink Out uniforms, which were awesome. So plug to the Booster Club there. They looked great in them last night. We lined that gym up with a bunch of pink. We had names on the walls of family members that we wanted to represent, so those girls played for those people last night.
Do they get to keep, usually they just wear a pink T-shirt, but yeah, those were sharp uniforms. Do you get to use those next year?
Yes,
or those take-homes?
yes. Because they're provided by the booster, we keep them in the school, so the girls don't get to keep these, but they look pretty sharp.
Sharp outfits. So you guys knock off Campus in the first match. Mm-hmm. Goddard Eisenhower came in ranked number 9 in 5A. Get beat up the first set, come back the second set, really dominated them start to finish, and then it was like 6 points most of the way through the third set.
Yep.
How do you explain something like that?
We've talked a lot about energy and just what an atmosphere can do, and last night our student section was just lit up. They're all there supporting, and I think that just re-energized our girls. First set, yes, we fell, but I feel like the energy was there, and then you could definitely tell in the second set. I mean, we just had girls lighting it up all over. I think Riley last night had an insane night as far as her hitting. Of course, we've got our big blockers in the front row with Val and Kara and Cassie, and you throw in a Kenzie Premer and our back row defense. I know we don't say a lot about that, but our defensive players played a heck of a game the second set, and of course Sadie's putting the ball where it needs to go. And third set, we dig this hole within the first 10 points, and then we're trying to play catch up the rest of the time, and you can't play catch up in a 25-point game.
And so you've seen Ranked Touch, Goodland, and so tomorrow you're going to Emporia, number 1 Hillsboro ranked in 2A, and Emporia is ranked in 5A.
Yes.
More brutal stretch for you.
A lot of coaches, they either love it or they hate it, and I really do think that playing teams like this are going to benefit us in the long run. When you go to sub-state, you got to beat the best to be the best. So playing lower level teams is not going to benefit us at this point. So you kind of have to, yes, records are a big deal, but I think learning how to play these tough teams will pay off in the long run for us. So yeah, we're going to see Smith Center. We're going to see these top ranked teams the next few days, and got to battle.
Quick Hillsboro story. When I was writing for the Lions paper, Hillsboro was the big deal, Alex Ratzlaff. And Coach Arnold has a little girl that she was always just down there hitting the ball with. Mm-hmm. So at state last year, I said, hey, whatever happened to that little girl that you were hitting the ball with? And she says, oh, she's out on the court. She was all state last year.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, makes sense.
My senior year and junior year in high school, Hillsboro had 3 Ratzlaff sisters. And I played against them, too. So it's in the water in that Ratzlaff family.
And we're talking to Great Bend High School coach Shelley Duvall. So
when you need to get rid of the pain, you want the best. You need to see Dr. Dan Quillen at Catalyst Therapy and Sports Rehab. Dr. Dan is Barton County's only board-certified clinical specialist in orthopedic physical therapy. No matter your age, when it hurts, he will help. Call Dan at 620-282-4825. That's 282-4825. Excellence-driven, unrivaled results. Catalyst Therapy and Sports Rehab. Inside the Fieldhouse at 9th and Madison in Great Bend.
Hey everyone, this is Cole Ryan, voice of the Barton Cougars. Attending sporting events for Barton Community College is great, but did you know you can support the athletic teams even further by getting involved with the Cougar Booster Club? The Boosters help with fundraising for equipment and facility upgrades to give Barton athletes every opportunity to keep succeeding at the regional and national levels. Join the Cougar Booster Club as an individual or business. Call 620-792-9377. Become a booster today. Go Cougars.
Fall has arrived at American Plains Co-op, and that means it's a very busy time in the agricultural industry. The American Plains Co-op Seed Department here to help. They offer a wide variety of seed wheat and cover crop options to suit whatever fits your farm. The team is also currently offering early order programs and discounts for the 2023 spring planting, so take advantage and get a hold of the American Plains Co-op Seed Department today for all your seed needs.
Great Bend Appliance Furniture and Sleep Source, your Whirlpool dealer, is celebrating 24 years of free delivery and service after the sale. Here's Dale Pruder.
We try our best. We do have 2 service people. We try to take care of you after the sale.
And you continue to get new products in all the time.
We just keep after it. We have financing, 12 months, same as cash every day on $4.99 and above.
If you need it, they probably have it at Great Bend Appliance Furniture and Sleep Source, your Whirlpool dealer at 10th and Morton.
Welcome back to Sports Day, 1590 KVGB, 95.5 FM. Mike Corson, joined today by Mark Goodhart, the assigner of officials for 3 leagues here in central and western Kansas. Mark, how are you?
I'm doing good today. Beautiful morning.
So you were doing officials in Central Prairie League, which is Ellenwood, Central Plains, Otis Bison, St. John. Central Kansas League, little bigger schools, Hoisington, Lions, Larned, and Western Athletic Conference, which of course includes Great Bend. So 7 sports for 24 schools, and you're here today because there's kind of a shortage out there.
Well, I think there's always been somewhat of a shortage, but I think it got more critical during COVID. We have begun to pick up a few more people in the last few years, I think. We're always in need. Varsity officials we can generally cover. I know like today I'm short 1 soccer official at a school out west, which is not unusual, but varsity officials, we generally can fill those positions. I think the biggest need right now is your junior varsity, your junior high, and your freshman games. I know there's always looking for people to help with those in all the sports.
And then you've mentioned COVID. Maybe COVID changed the workforce, which now people can't get off work for the 4 o'clock games.
Yes.
What are some other reasons? Parents yelling at them?
I've attended quite a few career fairs and talk to young kids, and this is true. You can make a lot of money at college working MAYB basketball, youth basketball, federated football, JV football. You can make so much money, much more than you can at a quick shop or a part-time job at the library or something like that. And so we try to entice people there. And my goal has always been to get where I got. It took me quite a few years to get up to work some varsity basketball because things were a little bit different then. But, I did it for the money when I first started because it was pretty good college money to spend on the weekends. And then it became a passion. And that's where it will eventually go to with most people. But it takes some time to feel comfortable in your uniform, to feel good about what you're doing, and to understand that when you kick a call, and you do, that you accept it and you tell a coach, I kicked it. We've got to go from here. But I also know that coach in his mind has kicked some things he should have done as well. So it's kind of a mutual thing, but it takes some time. But kids tell me I sometimes don't like how my coaches yell at me. I don't like how my parents yell at people. I just don't want to get yelled at. And that's the hard part.
And so kind of the contradiction for me is everybody wants good, experienced officials, but they yell at them when they're kids. Well, of course, everybody has growing pains. So how important for those young kids to kind of come up and maybe take their licks, but also get a little respect as well?
Yeah. Well, I have noticed this year I've had the opportunity to work a lot more volleyball than generally I do because I usually go watch games and don't officiate. But due to shortage in some places and times to get off, I've worked some games, and I've noticed that both coaches and both teams will say thank you. They don't say you did a great job. They say thank you for doing it, which means something. I mean, they've gone out of their way to come over and appreciate the fact that you're there and the game went on and the kids got to play.
We're talking with Mark Goodhart, an assigner of officials for 3 leagues in western and central Kansas. And you kind of mentioned women officials, too. They're starting to make their rise in the NFL and maybe even in the NBA. How important to see some of those at the high school level?
Well, I think that's probably an area that we really haven't tapped very well. I mean, if you look at the Kansas State High School Activity Association, they offer women's sports. females that I have worked with that wanted to become good officials, and I probably have worked more in the area of basketball with officials, they're the ones that know the rules. They get in the rule book, they study, they watch, they try to emulate somebody that they respect, and sometimes in a lot of cases they'll get there quicker. I think we're past the thing of coaches thinking, well, they never played high school football, so they have no clue. I didn't play a volleyball match in my life, and I referee volleyball, so there's no difference. And if you're good, you're good, and if you need to get better, you need to get better. It's just that simple. And the female, that's a part. The ladies are the ones that we need to really work on to get up there. And then we have to make sure as assigners that we give them opportunities to see plays, get better, work hard, and produce for us.
And another thing I think is interesting about criticism of officials is always the home cooking. I mean, most of the time these guys and gals from sometimes an hour or two are away, so isn't it kind of funny that these people really are the most objective people on the field and they're being accused of being homers?
Yeah, as an official, in my mind, you cannot homer anybody because your calls, especially in a basketball game, are right there right now. They're a reaction to a play that happened. Maybe you got it wrong. Block charge is the one that everybody always worries about. They used to give officials a hard time because they've got the foul count now. So you look up and the fouls are 7-2. One team's got 7 and one team's got 2, and the coach is going, they only got 2 fouls. I'm going, I'm sorry, but my job is to call them. You need to talk to the person that puts them on the scoreboard because they're the ones that put them in there. I don't know who's got 7, who's got 2, but that's just the way life is sometimes. But officials just want to go out, do the best job they can do. It's kind of like any job that anybody takes. No one takes a job and then tries to fail at it. They're trying to do the best they can do. We've got some older officials that can't quite get there anymore, but they're still trying to do the best job they can do and let the kids play.
And on that end, what does the commissioner do? I mean, you've got, obviously, officials get sick, they get injured the day of a game. So how hard is it sometimes to scramble and find a 4th or 5th official for some of these games?
In some cases, it's about impossible. But, my database of officials, and I think I have a good working relationship with all of them. You send out a mass email, and somebody's going to answer it, and somebody's going to try to help you. If no one calls, no one gets back with you, then there just isn't anybody that day. But it's been a very huge part of my life since I was playing. So I knew when I played sports and played 3 in high school and played 1 in college, and I knew when I got out I wanted to stay with the game because, nothing keeps you younger more than a bunch of young kids and coaches that you can sit down and just visit with after the game. I'm sure that probably every county in Kansas I can think of somebody that I know. So it's the greatest fraternity I know of, fraternity sorority that I know of in Kansas.
And so what are the tips if maybe a 16-year-old or 18-year-old or a 35-year-old wants to get an introduction into officiating and work into varsity? How do they go about that?
Well, they can contact me. We do have some basketball clinics, and we have those coming up in November. I have one in Hayes on November 12th. We have some basketball camps. There are some football camps where you can take your crew down or go by yourself and learn a position. There's any kind of tutorials that the Activity Association has online at kshsaa.org that you can go on and you can just watch the art of officiating soccer or baseball or softball and get your mechanics down and have a feel for it and then find a mentor. Right now I'm mentoring 2 young ladies in volleyball, and fortunately they're both better than I am, so it's a good thing. But they're very good at what they're doing. They just needed confidence and to see plays, and both of them are, to me, I'll give them varsity matches next year.
And I'm not sure how long you've been doing this. I've seen you and your son Scott around a while. Were you around when Todd Tishner came up?
Yeah, I was around. I never worked any games with Todd. I know Scott's very close to Todd. We use Todd every chance we get in the wintertime to come and speak to officials and just say how he got there. And quite truthfully, you get to whatever the height you want to be by knowing people, by luck, and then you got to be good at your job and take an interest in and like I said, it became a passion for me. I'd go to work as a principal early in the morning sometimes so I could take off a little bit early and get to a ball game. And I looked forward to that 2 hours of dealing with only what went on the rectangular basketball court. And that was exciting to me. I looked forward to it. I was always kind of sad when the season was over. And then when I had to get out of it because of a hip situation, it just, the next thing became trying to hire officials and work with kids and try to get them to go and officiate ball games for us.
Maybe I explained Todd Tishner was a Holcomb Garden City kid, and he is now a Major League Baseball official.
And he's in one of the top 10 when they balls and strikes and stuff. And he's got a son that's working now that's very good too. Caden is down at McPherson. I use him a lot in basketball, and I think he's already working some college baseball and does very few high school baseball games. But yeah, excellent family.
Well, Mark Goodhart, a signer of officials for 3 leagues that impact our schools in western and central Kansas. Good luck to you and the officials. We appreciate what you do.
Well, I thank you, and anybody that wants to get into officiating, get a hold of me. I'd be tickled to death to talk to you.
More Sports Day after this.
Farmers depend on their equipment, and equipment depends on its fuel. Cenex Premium Diesel works as hard as you do and comes with a more complete additive package for a more complete burn. Cenex Ruby Fieldmaster even cleans up your injectors and prevents injector fouling, so your equipment can keep firing on all cylinders to make every day a field day. Cenex Premium Diesel. Diesel that doesn't mess around.
Contact American Plains Co-op in Great Bend, your certified Cenex distributor today.
Get the latest 5G devices at Nextech Wireless. Now you can get the iPhone 14 Pro and the Samsung Galaxy S22 Plus on us, or up to $999 off any other device. And that's not all. You can also get half off a new Apple Watch when you bring your number to us. Nextech Wireless. We are Kansas.
From the Mail Money Management Studios, 1590 KVGB Great Bend and 95.5 FM K238CK Hoisington.
Hey, this is Adrian Wojnarowski. Check out my podcast, The Woj Pod, with insight and analysis on the top stories in the NBA.
Adrian Wojnarowski, our insider extraordinaire.
Reaction to breaking news.
This is the latest Woj bomb.
And in-depth conversations with some of the biggest names in the league.
Thanks, Woj. Do it again.
I'm good. Thanks for having me on the podcast.
All right. Yes. Thank you, Woj. Appreciate you having me on.
Listen and subscribe to The Woj Pod wherever you listen to podcasts.
It's time to head to Tiger Town to talk Fort Hays State Tiger sports with the voice of the Tigers, Gerard Welbrock, on Sports Day.
And welcome back to Sports Day. I'm Mike Hesher. It's a little after 1 o'clock on your Wednesday, and it's time now to talk a little Fort Hays State athletics with the voice of the Fort Hays State Tigers, Gerard Welbrock. Welcome in, Gerard.
Hi, Mike.
How we doing?
We're doing well. I'm starting to think Webby's avoiding me.
I think he's semi-retired, as we talked about a little bit ago. Holy moly!
I think he's been semi-retired for a while.
Well,
you can tell him. You can tell him I said that.
You would probably know he might be at home listening. We're not really sure, but
yeah, he might be.
Okay. So Fort Hays State football. They lost again. They were defeated by their arch rivals, UNK. And this was Nebraska Kearney's first win in several years against Fort Hays State.
9 games, ended a 9-game losing streak to the Tigers. Yeah, first time they'd won at home since 2002. Now, they didn't play every year when they're in separate conferences. But, yeah, It's been a while. And again, it's kind of the game we've seen before. Fort Hays State, really, you look at the score, not indicative. They were right there. I thought played well, but too many mistakes, and just right now they can't overcome those mistakes. That's really kind of the story. And and when you look when they're winning conference tournament or conference championships, I mean they had the talent that could overcome those mistakes. So I think their margin for error is very thin, and they just had too many. No fumbles this time, but 3 interceptions. One was really bad. Another was bad luck. A third was, I don't know how they intercepted the ball. It looked like we had a completion, but just couldn't overcome it. Defense played well. Kearney's offense, they run about 80% of the time. TJ Davis, he was the runner-up for the Harlan Hill Award last year. That's basically the Division II version of the Heisman Trophy. He is so good, and 4 days held him in check, held him under 100 yards rushing. Leopards, I know, ran for over 200 yards, but they're a run-first team, and they were under 300 yards of total offense for the game. That hadn't happened this year. So Fort Hays State did a lot of good things, just unfortunate they're not good enough right now to overcome the mistakes they're making.
And I think they're also finding out how, and I know the coaches know this, but the MIAA is tough from top to bottom pretty much.
Oh, yeah. Lincoln, throughout Lincoln's not very good.
Right.
But everybody else is, and they know that. I mean, they know that coming in. And I guarantee you, Fort Hays is 1-4 right now, and no one is going to want to play them, because if they put it together and just eliminate a few more of those mistakes, they're going to be a tough team to beat. Thought it might come on Saturday. Both teams came out, scored first possession, and Kearney's done that. I think a lot of it is because of it compared a lot to the service academies, Air Force and Navy and Army, and how they run offense. Nebraska Kearney is a lot like that. So I think it takes an adjustment period. It's hard to simulate what you see in practice or going to see in practice, and I think it takes a possession or two. But they had minus when 4 days threw an interception right before halftime, and Kearney started at the Tigers 6 and scored to go up 14-7. I think they had 6 out of 7 possessions. They had a punt, and 4 out of those 5 were for 3 and outs. I mean, so Fort Hays State defensively played solid, but they gave up a couple of big plays, and I think you can credit the quarterback T.J. Davis on those. You're so concerned about the run and the option, and he'll pull it back and throw, and they kind of got sucked in a little bit. I think you saw some of the youth on defense. But, yeah, misleading game, misleading score. Fort Hays, I thought, played pretty well, but, again, just couldn't overcome the mistakes.
We're talking with the voice of the Fort Hays State Tigers, Gerard Welbrock, and you talked about T.J. Davis. He was the runner-up to the Harlan Hill last year. He was 25 carries for net 78 yards, and this is the stat that gets me, 7 out of 15 passing for 133. 7 of those completions went for touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, he hit a big 48-yarder to a tight end. The secondary kind of leaked in and was worried about the run and left him open. He's improved. When he first came to Kearney, his passing game, you had to honor it, but you didn't have to honor it very much. You have to now. He's a much more accurate passer, and that's made it more difficult because he runs so well. And you watch him. I mean, he's fast. He's not blinding speed, but teams just don't get a good hit on him. He's very elusive, and he's just hard to defend. I mean, he breaks so many plays and just keeps plays alive, and then he'll run, and you think it's going to be a run, and then he'll, before he crosses the line of scrimmage, pop back and hit a big pass. But probably the evolution of his passing game is what has improved his play and made him so good. And hopefully this is his last year. He could, if he decides, he could take advantage of the COVID year.
Right.
He's listed as a senior, but he could have one more year. I think everybody in the MIAA hopes he takes a shot at the NFL. It won't be a quarterback, but he's talented enough he might get a look at some other positions, a receiver or maybe in the secondary. But he's really good. I mean, he's probably as good as it gets in the MIAA. Everybody recruited him, including Fort Hays State. Everybody wanted him. He probably fits Kearney's system better, and they had a need for quarterback where everybody else was kind of set and had a guy already. That plays into it as well. But he's good. He's really good. But Fort Hays State probably defended him as well as they have at any point so far in his career.
Chance Fuller, in his second game back from injury, goes 21 out of 32 for 219 yards, but he did throw 2 interceptions. How was Chance looking after coming back from his injury?
You know, you could tell the difference. He played really well. The one before halftime was the bad one. The receiver ran a wrong route, and then he tried to force it. Probably should have just thrown it away, lived to play another down, and unfortunately, he threw the pick that they got returned to the 6 and then scored a touchdown. So that was really the big play in the game. You go into halftime 7-7, and you got a 3 and out to start the third quarter. So it was right there. And the other interception was he underthrew his running back out of the backfield. It went off the guy's helmet.
Oh.
And so if the ball's a quarter inch another direction, it bounces out of bounds. Instead, it bounced to the left, right into the hands of a safety coming across the field to help out. And the bad part was it was inside the 15-yard line, so you maybe potentially take a minimum a field goal away. Well, as tight as that game was, at that point you'd have had the lead and maybe had the lead at halftime. So a lot of the turnovers have been in really bad parts of the field, either, near their goal line or near the opponent's goal line. Nothing at the 40 and you can get a stop and just get the ball back. It's been drives you're going in to score or possessions in which you're giving them short fields, and that's just been too much for this team to overcome.
Yeah, not all turnovers are created equally.
They are not. They are not. And unfortunately, for Fort Hays, they've had a lot of the bad kind this year.
Looking at some of the defensive stats, and I know you talked to Steve about this, but the young man from Larned, Mason Perez, continues to play well.
You know what? He really does. I think he's really good. He's going to be really good. I'm excited for him. And we talked about it with Webby last week. I think physically he's grown. You can see it. He's stronger. He's always had the speed, but now you add that element. And I think what that has done, it's brought confidence. And you can see when he plays. And anytime you're a freshman and you're out there, you're trying to feel your way through. It's tough. And then when you're probably physically maybe not quite ready, it makes it more challenging. You can tell he's confident with his body and the way he plays, and he's playing like it. He was close to getting to a couple of punts again. He had the block the week before against Southern for a touchdown. One of their scores, it was just past his fingertips, or he bats a big play down on what would end up being a big play because Fort Hays had him. They were down 8 at the time, early fourth quarter, 3rd and 20. Tigers get a stop. They get called for lining up in the neutral zone and going back and watching. It was close, but they were. And so Kearney gets a redo at 3rd and 15, and they convert. And Mason was just right from his fingertips. If he would have been a half-inch taller, he bats that down. Fort Hays gets a stop, and who knows, maybe goes on to win that game. But he's really played well. It's been fun to watch him develop, and he's going to be really, really good because I think there's a lot more in the tank for Mason.
Yeah, the other truth is sports is a game of inches. So, yes.
It is. And it's a young defense. You look, they get about everybody back. There's a couple seniors out there, but it's a young defense. And when the season started, that was going to be an issue. Youth is youth, but you can see in just a month plus of the season their development. And even by the end of this year, if they can stay healthy, they're battling injuries, and that's going to be tough again for Saturday. They got some guys who aren't going to be able to play, it sounds like. But that defense, before that group goes through here in the next 2, 3, 4 years, is going to be really good, I think.
Talking with Gerard Welbrock from the radio voice of the Fort Hays State Tigers. Coming up, there's a core of 4 that I remember from the CSIC, pretty much from Kansas. It's Washburn, Emporia State, Pittsburgh State, and Fort Hays. And Saturday is homecoming, and they get the Ichabods. What do you know about Washburn? Yes.
Well, Washburn, they're 3-2. They've lost 2 out of 3. Both have been by a possession, 8 points to Kearney at home a couple of weeks ago. They had won 8 straight home games, and they've lost their last 2. And then Emporia's kind of figured it out, and they were running big on them, and Washburn scored 21 straight to make it interesting, but lost by a touchdown last week. So they're kind of fighting for their playoff lives. They made the playoffs a year ago. They won all their close games, including an overtime win at home over Fort Hays State. They've lost 2 close ones, and that's life in the MIAA. And you go from a 9-win season like they had last year to you're 3-2 and battling for your life to have a chance to make it back to the playoffs. So it's going to be a desperate Washburn team. They've got a really good quarterback, completely opposite of what T.J. Davis was. He's throw first, more of a traditional pocket passer. James Letcher is a phenomenal wide receiver. He's had big games against the Tigers, had a big kick return a few years ago in an overtime game that these two played. And they've played the last 2 meetings between Fort Hays and Washburn have both gone to overtime. They've had 3 overtime games since Chris Brown has left Washburn as a defensive coordinator and become the Fort Hays State coach. You've got Cooper Harris, the defensive coordinator, was at Washburn as an assistant. Stephen Dudley, the secondaries coach and special teams coach, he played at Washburn. So there are a lot of connections between the 2 programs, and they run a lot of similar stuff. So I think that's some of the reason the games have been so close. And we'll see. Fort Hays State had a good week, good practice yesterday from all accounts that we've heard. And I think the challenge is just keeping everybody engaged, enthused, and all those things, and you're 1-4 and your season kind of slipping away. Keep everybody going, and I think sometimes when they're youthful, that helps because they're eager. They want to get better. They want to keep their spot or earn their spot. So I think that's helping them a little bit. But I think Fort Hays got a chance. They just have to cut down on mistakes, and we'll see if they can do that.
Yeah, this is so different for head coach Chris Brown and his staff because they've been obviously very successful at Fort Hays, and between last year and this year, they're not used to losing football games.
Yeah, well, I think his first year they were 1-5, and that's the last time they've started 1-5. And probably the more remarkable, they've lost 5 in a row at home. That hasn't happened since their last year in the RMAC and their first season in the MIAA. They had a stretch of 7 consecutive home losses. So that's been the head scratcher. A lot of their struggles of late have come at home. So hopefully they can turn that around. Now, they've done well against Washburn at home. They've struggled in Topeka, so hopefully that trend continues.
That's because Moore Bowl is not a very fun place to play, is it?
It's not. It's their new press box is actually a pretty cool facility.
Okay.
So I don't know. For whatever reason, Fort Hays has not played well in Topeka. I mean, it's been credit to Washburn for winning, but you can look back. It's like that has been one of their poorer played games over the years in Topeka for whatever reason.
And I always have to ask you, because this is who I am, basketball's not far around the corner. How are they looking on the men's side?
I think they'll be okay. I honestly haven't. They'll start practice here officially in a couple of more weeks. They don't. They do stuff once they get on campus.
Oh, yeah.
But their first official team practices are coming up. But I think they're going to be okay. They've added a big guy, a transfer from Indiana State, Ian Enaruna. His brother Christian Enaruna was at KU originally and then went to Iowa State. It's his older brother, and he's 6'9", and I think he'll help fill some of the void of Jared Bixton. That's going to be the key.
Right.
How do you replace a first-team all-conference player? And Jared did so many things. I mean, Mark Johnson has called him the best defensive rebounder he's ever coached, and it's hard to argue with that. And so where do they make that up? And because of that, they were so good defensively. A lot of time you got one possession and one shot, and Fort Hays got the rebound. Will they be as good in that area? Nige Wright opting not to use his COVID years. His body kind of has given out on him. He was a really good defensive guard, and the things he brought. You get some holes to replace, but I think they feel they've done that. So I think they're going to be. I think they got a chance to be really good. We'll see here pretty quick.
It is homecoming against Washburn this week, and obviously Friday means Oktoberfest. Are you able to partake in Oktoberfest, Gerard?
I will go down and eat.
Okay.
I won't probably spend a ton of time there, but yeah. Oh, yeah, I will.
Okay.
Got to get a good beer rock and hopefully some noodles and beans, maybe a brat.
Okay.
And the whole key is the key for me, and you got to plot it. You got to figure your course of action. You just can't go in and buy the first thing you see, get that beer rock right away, because then you see something you really have to have, and then you're full because you've not planned it well. So I usually do a lap when we first get in, kind of scope out, get the game plan, and go from there. But definitely a beer rock or two will be consumed.
I don't feel so bad, Gerard. That's kind of the game plan I have when I go to Oktoberfest, and unfortunately it's been a while, and I'm trying to figure out if there's any way I can get up there. But if you're a Fort Hays State grad, Oktoberfest is special.
Well, if there's a will, there's a way, Mike.
This is
there's
true.
A will, there's a way. You can find a way.
I understand
well,
that.
The neat thing is now it does carry over to Saturday.
Oh, does it really?
Saturday in the afternoon, pretty much after the parade, and it runs through most of the afternoon, which has become very popular for folks who can't make it on Friday,
right?
Or maybe don't want to mess with the crowd, but they can come on Saturday. It's not nearly as busy. Most of the food vendors are there. Not all of them are back, but
sure.
A good chunk of them. So it's become a pretty popular thing, a little bit more low-key, but for people like you who maybe can't get on Friday, get a chance to come up on Saturday and then, maybe stay for the football game.
Well, I probably would do that. Thank you for that information. I did not know that, as because, as we talked about.
Try to inform.
You are the man. And, Webby probably won't let me off on Friday. He's getting to be semi-retired and being pretty hard on me. So we'll go
So
from
he
there.
needs you to fill in for him. I get it. Well, maybe you can make it work on Saturday.
Well, Gerard Welbrock, I thank you for the time. He is the voice of the Fort Hays State Tigers. And you have a good week, Gerard.
Good talking to you, Mike.
All right. Thank you, Gerard. That's Gerard Welbrock from Fort Hays State University. He is the radio voice of Fort Hays State. You're listening to 1590 KBGB 95.5 FM. It is the talk of the town. We'll be back with our final segment after this.
If you need physical therapy, consider Advanced Therapy in Great Bend and Progressive Therapy in Larned and Hayes.
There's nothing like A-STEM therapy. This is Tim Marcus from Progressive Physical Therapy in Hayes. Research shows A-STEM therapy improves muscle performance and neural functioning. It's highly effective for those dealing with tennis elbow, carpal tunnel, sports injuries, and general aches and pains.
You don't need to hurt. Physical therapy can help. Call Advanced or Progressive Therapy and Sports Medicine to explore your treatment options and get your life back.
This is Barton Community College Athletic Director Trevor Rolfs. The Barton Athletic Department is proud to sponsor Sports Day on KBGB, a show that showcases all of our high school student athletes in central Kansas, some whom will continue their educational and athletic future with us here at Barton. We're excited about the fall sports season that is now underway and invite you to attend a game or a match and experience the rich tradition of Cougar athletics. For complete schedules and results, visit bartonsports.com.
Man, how can you afford gas for that big SUV?
I pay less for gas than everyone else. I got the free Get Upside Gas app and get up to 25 cents a gallon cash back every time I buy gas.
Hold on. You're getting up to 25 cents off a gallon with the free Get Upside Gas app while I'm paying full price?
You know it. People earned over $1 million last year. You just got to take a picture of your gas receipt and bam, up to 25 cents a gallon cash back.
You don't have to tell me twice. I'm downloading the free Get Upside Gas app now.
Download the free Get Upside app now in the App Store or Google Play to save up to 25 cents a gallon when you buy gas. Use promo code LOVE for a 25 cent a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's up to 50 cents a gallon on your next tank. Just download the free Get Upside app at the App Store or Google Play and use promo code LOVE. Save money on gas on every fill up. Just download the free Get Upside app and use promo code LOVE. That's LOVE. Visit getupside.com for terms.
I said chantilly lace and eggshell, not matte.
Colby's interior design consultancy is floored with new clients.
Wait, what am I looking at here? This looks like plaid.
They need an admin with an eye for design and a knack for numbers.
Okay, hey, look, take a look at this. Do those numbers look right?
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Screen for quality candidates with the skills your role needs with Indeed assessments. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back to Sports Day. I'm Mike Hesher, rejoined by Mike Corson as we bring you Sports Day. It is a Wednesday. We're down to our final 6 or 7 minutes, and we are not able to have a Grumpy Old Men segment this week because of Mr. Webster's absence. So I was given this little comedy skit that talks about old retired football players trying to talk about sports, and it is from a comic. I'm not sure who it is, but with Webby out of the office, then we can pretty much do what we want to, can't we?
Your job,
You're literally, it's my job on the line. I'm the one running the controls. So here we go. I know there is a little bit of, they make fun of some head injuries, but, it's comedy. Take it with a grain of salt, folks. Okay, it looks like the joke may be on me. Where did that go? Okay, well.
I was thinking about filling that air, but I also went blank, so it was kind of a twofer there.
It's running, and it's what did I do wrong? Okay, well, I guess we won't play that today.
Well,
I guess maybe I saved my job. Somebody was looking out after me. But you have some updated stats, maybe?
Yeah, you were mentioning Ryan Kuckelman down in Maxville, so I knew he had been quarterback, but I thought he got switched up. But as it turns out, he is still quarterback. 423 passing yards on the year, second on the team with 516 rushing yards. I knew they were young. Hector Gomez is a sophomore, leads the team with 563 rushing yards. And then Gomez is one of Kuckelman's favorite targets.
And Ryan Webster actually mentioned Gomez as well, so yeah, that's not surprising.
Yeah, I think he's a pretty good little basketball player too.
Yeah.
And then Jason Cleveland's only a junior. He's the other favorite target with 211 receiving yards. So it has been a fun group to watch those guys. Ryan's dad is the head basketball coach, kind of an institution in the Central Prairie League.
And very competitive. I remember, he's always very competitive, and Maxville usually has pretty good ball clubs.
Back years ago, so yeah, the fact that he's got a sensational class now, it's cool.
Yeah.
Because he's kind of one of the more fun ones to watch. Always very polite to the press, so I always appreciate the guys that have the fire that's not directed towards us, but then they turn around and they're like some of the best guys to deal with.
Yeah, they are. So the area football schedule is, my comedy skit didn't turn out, so I guess I'll have to kill more time with the schedule coming up for high school football. Webby's hoping to be back on Friday, but we'll have to wait and see. The Western Athletic Conference, we've talked about Liberal 2-3 taking on Great Bend 3-2. Any different thoughts on that game since a couple days ago?
No, I wish I had my stats pulled up on that. I know Liberal's quarterback, I believe last week, was maybe top 10 in the state in passing, but then they also had a pretty good running back that was maybe top 20 in the state. So it's interesting with a balanced offense and some big numbers like that they are kind of falling on hard times. So we will see if our Panthers can shut them down as well.
Dodge City takes on Hayes. Hayes is 4-1. You've seen Hayes several times, and Dodge City. What do you think on that contest?
I still think it's interesting. I do think Dodge City is a decent football team, and they're going to run the ball a lot. Hayes is going to run the ball a lot, so it's going to come down to who can tackle.
I think I figured out why I wasn't. My thing didn't play. I was still recording the fireman that I recorded earlier. Oops. Okay. There's 2 hours there, so I'll have to look into that one. Oh, my. So when the children in front are in charge of the equipment, it's usually not a good thing.
You were so distracted by Sparky that it happens.
Sparky. Yeah.
Dalmatian.
And I was so bad wanting to ask those guys that question, and I didn't. And what's the first thing Mike Corson says to them when he walk out of the studio?
Hey, man, where's Sparky?
Where's Sparky? The Sparky still exists.
Yeah,
so
they have, I'm guessing they told you, but yeah, they have a skit coming up. It's Fire Prevention Week next week. So.
Yep, that's what they were here for. We had a long talk about that. So, yes, it was quite interesting. In the Central Kansas League, Lakin at 5-0 takes on Hoisington in Hoisington. Hoisington's 3-2, Lakin's 5-0. And that will be, in my opinion, that pretty much decides that district.
And you never know with Western Kansas. We see that a lot in tennis. Some kids come in pretty hot with number 1 and number 2 seeds, and then they get beat up by the teams that play in the Central Kansas League and whatnot. So don't count out Hoisington in that one.
Other Area 11-man games, we have Inman takes on Ellenwood. Ellsworth, this is the intriguing matchup we've kind of talked about, as did Cole Rive. Ellsworth is 5-0, Russell's 3-2, but I believe you said earlier that you think Russell has a decent chance in this one.
I think it'll be more competitive than the records might indicate. Russell's coming off, I believe, a 22-0 win against TMP. Not sure what was going on with TMP. I saw them get beat up by Scott City pretty good, but they were ranked at one point. They knocked Hoisington out last year and have their stud, the coach's kid, Cade Harris, back. So I would expect Russell to put up more than 6 points, but Ellsworth has been flooring people both sides of the ball.
And on the other side, we have an 8-man game, Central Plains 0-5 versus Otis Bison 0-5.
And just a few short years ago, that was one you would circle on your calendar as two state caliber teams. And high school sports are cyclical, and
sure they
both of them are going through down cycles.
We have another Kiowa County 0-5 is taking on Pratt Skyline 0-5. And they're no longer Pratt Skyline, correct? Have we not been corrected by Webby on that one? It's just Skyline?
It's Skyline if you know where it is. It's Pratt Skyline if you don't.
Thank you. That's kind of what I was thinking. Come on, Webby. Let's see. And 6-man games. Can't forget about the 6-man games. Pawnee Heights 1-4 takes on Burton 3-2, and Chase 0-4 is in Natoma at 3-2. And we're just about out of time. You've been listening to Sports Day on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM. We'll be back tomorrow at 12:30. Webby may join us. We'll have to wait and see.